Back working on the tune. Today I'm going to be wiring in the third taillight and doing it without cutting into the truck's wiring harness. I've thought of a few different ways to do this, but landed on something that I think is pretty clever. To my knowledge, Tune doesn't provide any instructions on how to install the third taillight, but it's pretty obvious what they want, and I'll just kind of show you their process here. First thing is, you can see I have it wired in all the way on the ground side, and then I'll show you kind of how these connectors work on the positive side. So this has a black tip and then the red side, and the red side, if you can see in the camera, it doesn't really have a point, and I'll show you the black side in a minute, which does. So the red side, you just push in there, the wire will kind of come off the top, and then you just screw it together, and that makes it so it won't come apart, and it does create the connection in there. The black side's a little different. You'll see that it has a groove in there, and when you pull it off, it has much more of a point there. And so the idea, and I'm not going to do it all the way because this isn't going to be how I wire it in, but you put the groove around the wire, and then you spin the connector until that point actually punctures the wire and makes the connection. So that's kind of their idea. You can see they also provided a fuse that is probably not necessary because the truck fuses this circuit, but probably also good to have on there. So that's the, again, stock way, but I'll show you how I'm planning on doing it. I'm just going to double check to make sure I know which wire's doing what. I'm working on a 2022 Tacoma, and I believe the blue wire is power and the white wire is ground. But let's look at the voltmeter. So now that I've confirmed that the blue wire is hot and the white wire is ground, I went ahead and wired up the pigtail. So I got these off of eBay. They will plug into the wiring harness and into the light bulb, and I have all of the wiring just going the same way. It's a little hard to see because some of the wires are different colors. But in that pigtail, you can see I have this splice, and what that's going to do is splice into this connector that's going to go around and plug into the tune. So that's how I'm going to get in there without cutting into the factory wiring harness. If I ever sell the truck, I'll be able to just pull the taillight out real quick, unplug this connector, and then plug that in just how it is from the factory. So I'm going to go ahead and lube this up, and then we'll start testing it out. Well, there we go. We have the splice. I'm just going to do a quick test to make sure that it works before I run the wiring the length of the full truck. So let's go ahead and test this out. We'll go ahead and plug in our pigtail to the light and then the wiring harness, and then I have this wired up temporarily to plug into the pigtail. Make sure these don't touch, and then we can plug the connector into the tune, and that should give us a third brake light. Perfect. So I'm starting to run the wiring for the taillight. I really don't like that the connector is here. I mean, I don't really have a better place to put it, but it does make it so the wiring is pretty exposed, and I'm trying not to do that at all. So I've decided to kind of run the wiring back behind here because this tray is completely full now that I put the Starlink in it. And I'm just going to run it under here all the way back to where I have my kind of huge mess of wiring. So everything that goes into the tune is from here. So I have the heater, the fan, Starlink, all the excess wires behind this plate. And I already brought in these two wires from these spools that I'm gonna put behind here and then wire into the tail light. So I think it'll work pretty good, pretty clean, but yeah, there's not a ton of options here. Well, turned out to be a pretty clean install. Should be plenty of room for the wires to sit back there. All right, I think I'm confident enough to put the bolts back in. All right. Just got done cleaning everything up. Install went really well. The hardest part was definitely putting the loom on the wire under the truck, just like dirt and stuff falling in your face. I went ahead and tested it with bikes on the bike rack, and it definitely helps. The tires kind of sit right in front of the wheels, blocking the brake lights. So happy to see that, yeah, that makes a big difference. I will put all of the tools that I used and the little connectors that I found to make this work in the description of this video. And yeah, I hope this helps someone out.